Hey there. So I got a little story for you today, and it's going to be a bit of a trip down memory lane. So we're going to start off at the beginning of Queen Patch, and we're going to talk about some of the outfits Kaai wore during the Queen Patch and a little bit beyond it. I want to focus the story around our guild anime, and that story really starts on Tempest Reach. See, anime started on Dragonfall, but Kaai being an Ellen, the leveling process, and Temple of Temerity all happened on Serpentis Isle along with FOK and BT. So we're going to skip Fane of Caprima, Baldur's Temple, and that other stuff for now anyway. So we're at the beginning of Queen Patch, and this is when my first interactions with anime started to happen. Really when Nexus was a really big deal. And that was the time when everyone would come out, stand in a single spot, turn everyone else's game into Microsoft PowerPoint, and then we'd try to kill some monsters that hopefully weren't already dead 10 minutes of lag ago. So let's see what Kaai looked like at this point in time. And there he is. Doesn't he just look strong and ready to kill some Argons? Well, he's not really. That gear won't even last until Argon Corpus hard mode, you can let alone Queen. But it got me through Nexus quite alright. So despite meeting some members of anime at this point, I was still roughly a year away from my Queen killing days. And I started to meet a lot of the anime members when I got Argon Corpus hard mode on farm. I met Pyra first, and he's important because he saw potential in me. I guess I should mention my outfit was different at this point. Here Kaai is with Solomon. I was particularly proud of that moment because at that time GM's materializing was a new thing and I had to duel Solomon, which made me feel really cool despite him kicking my ass. But anyway, Pyra brought me into the anime static with himself, Kadesser, Leash, and Enoch. Coco was supposed to be there, but he was off chasing some girl or galloping through wide meadows or whatever quote-unquote black stallions were doing at that time. Either way, I took over his spot as Slayer for the group, so let's have a look at where that took me, because I think the Plexus has a way of inspiring awe that has to be seen rather than strictly recounted. Isn't that nice? And now for the Queen herself. I progressed through Queen and got my first kills wearing the last set of gear, so after farming Queen for a while, I got Regents and Vision Maker. So why don't we see Queen Killer Kaai in all of his glory? There he is. I rarely switch away from this outfit after I get it. The prestige was a little too alluring to pass up. Having VM back in the day was just such a big deal. I did occasionally use the board shorts or something like that, but for years I wore this. That is, until Alliance came out, and with it, the business suit. But before moving on to the Alliance days, I do want to record a short little story about my Vision Maker sword, for all of posterity, I guess. See, when I originally went to get the quills to make it, I was in a different static with Iris, Zephyra, Daring, and I believe the other Slayer's name was Ashvela. If it's not, I apologize to whoever Ashvela might be, but I'm pretty sure that was his name. We decided to roll for the quills, and whoever won would get the next two to make a 3 in total and, make their sword. He rolled a 9 and I was pretty confident that I would get it, but I was devastated when I rolled a 7. Needless to say, I was very upset, especially because he quit the static and the game as soon as he crafted and plus 12 his sword. I'm really salty about that. I was then and I am now. That's not all though. When I finally obtained all the materials to make my dream blade, my internet went out for the weekend. I had someone else log into my account and buy the last Argon vitriol I needed, then proceeded to sit in my room knowing my Dreamblade was ready to be made, if I only had the internet. There aren't many times my plans have been so thoroughly screwed, so I thought that'd be an interesting laugh at my misfortunes. Anywho, I believe I was getting to Alliance. Man, Alliance had to be the most toxic of all times in Terra. It was genuinely unpleasant in the sense that everyone was competitive and just toxic. The vitriol was real. I do believe the worst player in Alliance was Coco, though. God, he caused so many problems. But here's Kaai at the time, in his fashionable white business suit. Like the Queen gear, I stayed with this outfit for easily a year or two, only I didn't switch to anything really. It was just this for a long time. But more important than the outfit, I think the Enlightened Union Hall is one of the best designed places Terra has ever had. It really is beautiful. I have a lot of fond memories of this place because I really just didn't leave it, even after Alliance became irrelevant. It's really the only place I spent time besides Canstria. I'll be showing some of the places members of anime spent most of their time, which is where the trade broker and banker were, along with the main hall and where the vaults and teleports stayed. EU Hall had a rather rude quirk where you could get under it and place campfires in such a way that wouldn't allow people on the floor proper to put a new one down, and it was too far under the floor to charm, so you just kind of ended up with people in the hallways charming. It was always hilarious until you were a minute or two away from vault closings. I may have done this a time or two. I'm a little guilty of that. As far as major outfit changes go, this really brings us to the current outfit. I'll show it to you now, but you're very familiar with it. A bit after Sky Cruiser, the Hello Kitty suits came out. Specifically, it was the Tar phase of the patch. It's named after a Vanguard quest that was like the most lucrative way of making gold at the time. I forget what the acronym stands for now, but that's what it was, Tar. At this point, Dreadspire 1 was over, Dreadspire 2 was on its way, and my attention to the game began to wane. I wore my crown, my DS1 weapon skin, and the Hello Kitty suit, which, with the Overachiever title and Quacklemore, really makes you as prestigious as you can get. There wasn't anything new to achieve, only re-achieving things. I could farm another title, but I already had Surgeon, Determined, Master of Time-Space, or Timescape, Forsaken, whatever else had been out at the time. And really, what's one more? The 30-man raid was really the final nail in the coffin. I got out at that point, and this is what I was wearing. Before I end the video, there is one last thing I want to talk about. Two mounts, actually. Carmine and Smolder. Carmine is a mount that's really close to my heart because the last achievement I needed was 30 runs of Baldur's Temple. They combined hard mode and normal mode at this point, so it was just one quote-unquote new thing. I farmed those 30 runs with Cade, and it was really the last big achievement we made together before she quit, and it was a nice time with a good friend. Cade and I were very similar, so we often wreaked havoc on people simply for the sadistic fun of it. We both also really liked achievements, so this was our completion, and with it, I got Carmine. Smolder, on the other hand, a bit of a rocky start. I was robbed of getting it from Crucible of Flame because at the time there was some exploitation happening in the dungeon. I did runs with Aura and his group, but we lost to the exploiters. I got it later from Dreadspire with Kian, and it was until DS2, a very prestigious mount. It has a lot of memories for me because of farming DS1 with Kian so much, and it was really the first time I got to know Aura a lot. Not that I got to know him that well or anything, and he was still not a nice person. But I do think fondly on both of those mounts, and they kind of stick out in my repertoire of 3 pages of mounts. So with all this, I've hit a lot of the high notes of my Terra career, mainly looking at my outfits, because I really only changed them with major overhauls of content, or kind of, I guess a good way to put it is if I changed outfits, it was kind of an end of an era. and it's kind of a very easy way to introduce a lot of the Terra history, at least my Terra history. And now with this video, it's a lot easier to kind of have some benchmarks for when things happened and what was going on at the time. And I definitely plan to record a lot of stories for you later on, but I just thought that this would be a nice kind of brisk walk through a bit of history that'll give you a lot of context for anything that you might want to know about later. I hope you've enjoyed the visuals, and I hope I've done a good job with the audio. I really look forward to getting a lot better with this by telling you these stories and creating other videos. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I really hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to the next story with you.